Go.
My name is Davyne Verstandig, and the book is And Tango Makes Three by Justin Richardson and Peter Parnell, illustrated by Henry Cole. I'm reading at the Hickory Bookshop in Washington, Connecticut, Washington Depot. So this book is interesting. It was moved from the children's fiction section to children's nonfiction at two of the Rolling Hills Consolidated Library branches in Savannah and in St. Joseph, Missouri, after parents complained that it had homosexual overtones. The illustrated book is based on a true story of two male penguins that adopted an abandoned egg at New York City's Central Park Zoo in the late 1990s. Challenged at Shiloh Elementary Library, a committee of school employees and a parent suggested the book be moved to a separate shelf, requiring parent permission before checkout. The school's superintendent, however, to his credit, rejected the proposal, and the book remained on the library shelf. Pulled from 4 elementary school libraries in Charlotte, North Carolina, after a few parents and the county commissioner, Bill James, questioned this controversial but true story. Now, the books were returned after the local paper questioned the ban. So I'll be very interested in your reaction to this ban. So, in the middle of New York City, there's a great park called Central Park. Children love to play there, and it has a toy boat pond where they can sail their boats. It has a carousel to ride in the summer and an ice rink in the winter. But best of all, it has its own zoo. Every day, families of all kinds go to visit the animals that live there. But children and their parents aren't the only families at the zoo. The animal families of their own they make. There are red panda bear families with mothers and fathers and furry red panda bear cubs, monkey dads and monkey moms raising noisy monkey babies. And there are toad families and cotton-top tamarin families too. And in the penguin house, there are penguin families. Now, every year at the same time, the girl penguins start noticing the boy penguins, and the boy penguins start noticing the girls. And when the right girl and the right boy find each other, they become a couple. Now, 2 penguins in the penguin house were a little different. One was named Roy, and the other was named Silo. And Roy and Silo were both boys, and they did everything together. They bowed to each other, they walked together, they sang together, they swam together. Wherever Roy went, Silo went too. Now, they didn't spend much time with the girl penguins, and the girl penguins didn't spend much time with them. Instead, Roy and Silo wound their necks around each other. Their keeper, Mr. Gramsci, noticed that the 2 penguins were together and thought they must be in love. So Roy and Silo watched the other penguins make a home. So they built a nest of stones for themselves. And every night, Roy and Silo slept there together, just like the other penguin couples. And every morning, Roy and Silo woke up together, and one day, Roy and Silo saw that the other couples could do something they could not. The mama penguin would lay an egg, And she and the papa penguin would take turns keeping the egg warm until finally it would hatch. And then there would be a baby penguin. So Roy and Silo had no egg to sit on and keep warm, and they had no baby chick to feed and cuddle and love. Their nest was nice, but it was a little empty. So one day Roy found something that looked like what the other penguins were hatching, and he brought it to the nest. But it was only a rock. But Silo carefully sat on it, and sat, and sat. And when Silo got sleepy, he slept. And when Silo was done sleeping and sitting, he swam and Roy sat. And day after day, Silo and Roy sat on the rock, and nothing happened. Then Mr. Gramsci got an idea, and he found an egg that needed to be cared for. So he brought it to Roy and Silo's nest. And Roy and Silo knew just what to do. They moved the egg to the center of their nest, and every day they turned it so each side stayed warm. Now some days Roy sat when Silo went for food. Other days it was Silo's turn to take care of the egg. They sat in the morning and they sat at night, and they sat through the lunchtime and the swim time and the supper. And they sat at the beginning of the month, and they sat at the end of the month, and they sat all the days in between. Until one day they heard a sound coming from inside the egg. Beep, 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 it said. Roy and Silo called back. Swat, swat, beep, beep, answered the egg. And suddenly a tiny hole appeared in the eggshell, and then... You're all excited, I can tell. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Crack! And out came their own baby. And she had a fuzzy white feathers and a funny black beak, and now Roy and Silo were fathers. We'll call her Tango, Mr. Gramsci decided, because it takes two to make a tango. So Roy and Silo and Tango, they taught Tango how to sing when she was hungry, and they fed her food from their beaks, and they snuggled her in their nest at night. And Tango was the very first penguin in the zoo to have two daddies. Now soon Tango grew strong enough to leave the nest, and Silo took her for a swim just like all the other penguin families. And all the children came to the zoo and could see Tango and the two fathers playing in the penguin house with other penguins. Hooray, Roy! Hooray, Silo! Welcome, Tango, they cheered. And at night, the three penguins returned to their nest, and they all snuggled together like all the other penguins in the penguin house, and all the other animals in the zoo, and all the families in the big city around them, and they went to sleep.